Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Chris Wiseman. I play guitar in Currents, and I wrote and recorded the music on our new album, The Way It Ends. Today I'm going to show you some behind the scenes on our album, some of the effects I used, and some of the techniques I used to get everything sounding the way it does. So I'm going to jump in and show you track by track. The first track of the album is called Never There. This track was sort of going to be our take on an acoustic track, but instead of using acoustic guitar, we're going to still use electric guitar and add in some piano and really big drums. And it turned into a shorter track than we initially intended, but we're really stoked on how it came out. So I'm going to show you some of the effects I used on it. So here's the full session for Never There that I tracked everything on before we gave it off for mixing and mastering. So as you can see, we have a ton of layers here. First I'll go through the drum layers. So we have toms layered with orchestral drums. And all together. That was them all together. Sorry, cut off there. And then we have our synth layers. So the synth bass. Our synth number 1. And then later in the song I bring in synth number 2. So all together, that's everything in the background for Never There. And of course we have our piano as well. Just wanted a lot of stuff going on to complement the guitars. Track 2 of the album is called Flag to Wave. This song is a great example of how picking different ways brings out a completely different guitar tone. So if I was to pick the verse riff softer, it would sound like. It's tight, but it's not really how the album sounds. To get the album sounding the way it did, I had to pick more like this. It just makes everything sound a lot more bright and aggressive, picking a little harder. Track 3 of the album is called Poverty of Self. So for this song, I did a lot of experimentation with harmonics. So in the chorus, I do something like, which is just sliding across all the harmonics from 12 to 1. So that was a cool little effect to add in. And then at the very end of chorus B, so this chorus A and chorus B, I did a harmonic on the first fret, which has a really crazy sound instead of the usual harmonic sound, which is like, instead it sounds like. So just a little crazy effect to add in. Track 4 of the album is called Monsters. It's my personal favorite of the album, and one thing I liked using in this song was a hard tremolo effect. So I'm going to go into Logic and show you how I achieved that. So the tremolo effect is something we explored on old songs like Night Terrors or Apnea, and I wanted to make sure we had some stuff on the new album that kind of brought that vibe as well. So when I'm setting the tremolo, I can, choose how hard it cuts. So for this I went somewhere in the middle, but if I was to cut it all the way, this is what it would sound like. And a lot of times I will do that, but I think for this one I smoothed it out just a little more. So more like. If I smoothed it out too much, it wouldn't give it the proper effect. So it would be. Just not as cool to me, So that's just kind of how I'm setting my tremolo. Track 5 of the album is called Kill the Ache. It's one of my personal favorites. On this song I used a lot of different synthesizers and effects like that, so I want to show you guys how I achieved those. So we're inside the Kill the Ache session now, so here is the intro synth. Now I was quickly satisfied with how it sounded, and all I had to do was add 2 plugins. So without the plugins, just a stupid regular square synth, then I cut off some high end. But the real trick was the reverb. Just added so much space to it. And then at the end of the song, I used a sample from a trap sound pack that one of my friends gave me a while back, and I tried to completely change it into a different type of sound. That's all it was. So I added the EQ, pitch shift it. Then with everything on, it just became something else completely different. Just a little hilarious thing I added in. I don't even think anyone wanted it there but me. I just thought it was cool. Track 6 is called Let Me Leave. This song is a perfect example of the kind of guitar effects that I use in the background for a lot of the album. So in the background of the verse, I do something like, and that, you know, sounds okay, but that's not really what I'm going for. I'm trying to make it sound less like a guitar, more like an effect. So I add my delay in, my reverb in, and I also use this thing called the string sustainer, and that gets rid of all the pick attack. So if I put it down, I can hold the note forever. And I use this on at least half the album. It's a really cool tool to just get rid of pick attack and sustain your notes for longer. Track 7 of the album is called Origin. On this song, I used a lot of different synths and effects, and I achieved a really different feel from anything else we've done in the past, so I'm going to go in and show you how I achieved that. Alright, so here is our session for Origin. So the most distinctive thing about this song is the opening synth. Just some cool serum sounds with the reverb on it. And then we have our trap hi-hats, I call them. Just adds a little rhythmic stuff going on over the main riff. And I felt that kind of just gave the song a unique feel that we haven't really explored before. Track 8 of the album is called Split, and I did something I've always wanted to do for a long time at the end of this song. I created a polymeter between the drums and the guitars. So the drums are going to keep playing in 4/4, but the guitars changed to 5/8. So there are 2 different tab signatures overlapping each other. I'll show you a little more in depth on the computer. Alright, so here's the session for Split. The guitars are going to be playing in 5/8. As you can hear, looped or not, it's the same thing over and over. And then the drums are in 4/4. Snare on 3, so we keep on track, and then all together. And that's how it goes. Just a really cool polymeter idea that I had, and I'm really happy with how it came out, and I'm glad I finally got to do something like this in a song. Track 9 of the album is called Second Skin. In this song, I used a lot of whammy effects, but I didn't actually have a whammy pedal to make them, so I'm going to show you how I achieved that on the recording. Alright, so here's our Second Skin session. So soloed the guitar sound like this. And so I wanted an effect that sounded like a whammy pedal, but live I can actually hook up my X-Effects to my laptop to actually do the effect for me, so I don't actually need to own a whammy pedal to do that. But for studio, what I'll do is first at the beginning of the note I have this little speed up thing. And that kind of has the effect so that it doesn't get pitched immediately. And then to change the pitch of the note itself, because I don't have enough frets to play all these on the actual guitar, I have this sound shifter plugin. So that's going up a full octave on the DI guitar, then I can bounce that and then put it on my guitar tracks, and that's when I'll actually add the speed up. Track 10 of the album is called How I Fall Apart. I wrote it back in 2017, making it the oldest song on the album. The chorus of this song has a lot of different layers, so I'm going to break apart the layers and show you what each of them is doing. Alright, here's our section for How I Fall Apart, and we're looking at the chorus right now. So I had this big melody in my head, and I just wanted a lot of layers to kind of play a unison behind all the vocals. So first we have our guitars. And then behind that I wanted a little more, so I have a piano going. And the choir going as well. And obviously if this was to get mixed, it'd be processed a little differently. But that is the layers for the chorus. The last track of the album is called Better Days, and at the end of the song I do this really big breakdown, but I wanted it to have a little variety in it to give it a different feel. So it goes. So how that goes is I do the harmonic thing, similar to Poverty of Self, but I also just hammer out the strings like that and just do a stupid noise. And then the last thing I do is a pick slide, which I make sure to do against the wound strings, like the low E, just so it catches the string and really digs in. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you got a lot out of this video. Our new album, The Way It Ends, is out now everywhere, and I'll see you guys next time.